All right. Hey guys, it's Luke. Welcome back. I know you're waiting on the edge of your seat, but I got my training log updated and ready to go over it with you and give you some of my takeaways that hopefully you can take with you along your training journey. So, um, I had been doing this. It's funny, once a week, and then it kind of drifted to twice a week, and now we're at uh, every 3 weeks. So, um, but most of that is just because this is just a really busy time of year for us. This is probably our busiest time, um, you know, late September through November with all the fall marathons, and then again in the spring, like April through May, our two biggest times a year for us when we're getting people ready for their own marathons and things like that. So some of it was just me, and some of it was just uh, a lot going on with other folks. So, but here we are. We got it going. Um, I don't dive too much in because the easy runs are just my easy runs. I mean, you've been following along, and they haven't changed at all, right? So they're still 7 to 7:10 pace for the most part. If I'm feeling really good, they 650s maybe, but for the most part they're just nice and steady. So I don't those haven't really changed much. So this is going to look at September 16th through yesterday, which was this October 6th. So last 2 weeks of September into the first week of October. Um, and so Monday and Tuesday of that week of the 16th and 17th was nothing. It was 12 and 4 in the morning, 12 and 4, 12 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. Strides. I did get some strides in on Monday. Wednesday was a big workout for me. I think a lot of you guys saw this on Strava and Instagram. I posted this, but 24 miler. I basically ran from our office here in Rochester Hills, and we're right next to the Clinton River Trail, which if you take a right onto the trail, it goes Clinton River, and then once you get into Macomb County, it turns into the Macomb Orchard Trail, and that will actually go way out there to a town called Richmond. We actually used to have a half marathon called Romeo to Richmond, and we would do that as our simulator for Chicago a lot of times actually because it was super super flat. And but anyway, Richmond's almost all the way out to the lake there, so it goes a long ways out there. But I did 24, 12 out, 12 back. Um, I was kind of pretty comfortable going out, and then I did push quite a bit coming back. I did have my Nathan bottle carrier with me, and I did practice my gels, but I definitely got into that point where, late in the marathon where your legs are a little iffy. I definitely took it to that range for me, which was pretty good because sometimes I just forget how that feels. But the 24 miles in 2 hours and 22 minutes. So ideally, from a time standpoint, that's just further than what I'll be racing on. And I know exactly what people are thinking. They're like, but 16 miles is where you're supposed to go. And I think, that's a fair argument because I preach on to you guys a lot about that. Um, but think about my situation. So, one, I ran under 2.5 hours, and two, I'm gonna run. I think I ran 112 that week, 112 watt miles that week. So that's less than 25% of my weekly mileage was in that run. Um, so before you get all bent out of shape and you start wanting to do your 20 miles, remember I kept the same guidelines that I tell you guys to keep, and it's probably actually even more conservative on those guidelines. If I really wanted to be a stickler for the 3 hours and the 25%, I could probably creep that up close to a 30-mile run. I don't have any desire to do that, but so it's all perspective of where you are, and I got after that run a little bit, no doubt about it. Um, and then I did take 3 days easy, but for me, again, I'm still hitting big mileage. I'm hitting big mileage during the day, and I'm hitting bigger mileage for the week. So I'm still putting in a ton of time, uh, and then the workouts I'm doing are still very, very aggressive. So Thursday through Saturday, basically a 10 miler. Oh, actually, because of that Thursday was my daughter's fun run at the school, and my wife and I got put on the committee for that. So I was at her school from 8 to, or no, that wasn't it. Never mind. That wasn't it. I just ran 10 miles that day. I think something came up and I couldn't do it. I think she has swim or something and I couldn't do the afternoon run. Then a 10 and 4 double and then 12. But, the biggest thing is I realized I was going to be way over my mileage for the week. So I didn't do a couple double runs. That's why. That's why. But I did get my strength, core, and strides in during those days. So it wasn't like I just took 3 days super easy. I substituted my afternoon run with something more as far as strength and core, things like that. And then Sunday I did 4 miles, 3 miles, 2 miles, 1 mile at marathon pace. I did adjust a little bit because it was super swampy. I mean, dew point was very high. Plus, I went to the Tigers game the night before. My father-in-law is actually a manager for security at Comerica Park, so he'd been kind of asking us all summer if we are going to come to a game. We finally made it, even though it was in September. But we made it to the game, and I was actually surprised because my daughter really liked it, and she doesn't sit still for anything, and she actually sat and watched probably half of that game without really wanting to get up and do anything, because they have like a merry-go-round type, a carousel, Ferris wheel, a bunch of stuff for kids over on the other side of the park and stuff. So she did do some of that, but she did sit and watch. She was asking me a bunch of questions, and so I think she wants to play t-ball now, which I like. She needs a mitt and she needs a bigger attention span, but other than that, she's good to go. But so we did that on a Saturday before. I did that Saturday. Sunday I did the workout of 4 3 2 1. So between just being up a little later, I was definitely not hydrated enough. We just didn't. I wasn't slamming beers or anything, but I definitely had too many ballpark franks and not enough water, and it was just warm and humid. So I did adjust a little bit, but I was running I probably averaged like low 520s, 520 to 522 pace for most of it. So you adjusted. I was in that 515 to 518 range pretty comfortably for that. And finished the week at 112 for the week. Pretty solid, my highest week so far. And then the next week, going into September 23rd, just another easy day. I did 12 and 4, same type of thing, 7-minute pace. Now, I did shake things up. So I did 2 workouts the week before. This week, I come in, did the 4 3 2 1, took a very easy day on Monday. Tuesday, I went and did 16 by 200 meters on the track. So this is something I knew I could recover from pretty well. And speed, I just haven't done very much speed at all in a long time. I'm talking true speed, even 10K pace stuff I've done. But I haven't run a 10K in so long, I don't even know what kind of pace that is. So I just wanted to get out, do something in smaller repeat distances that I knew I could do over and over and over again. And so I basically went out there, and I'm thinking this is probably somewhere between 5K and 8K pace that I did it. But basically 4 sets of 4 times 200, where I do a 200, 34 to 35 seconds, and then jog a 200. And then on the 4th one, I would jog a 400, get a little bit more recovery. But I got definitely that lactic acid build in my system over the course of the entire workout, something that I haven't really had in such a long time. So it was just something really kind of more experimenting with. And then I did do a 4-mile shakeout run in the afternoon, just because even though you're doing a lot of repeats, the overall volume of that's pretty small. Wednesday, nice and easy. Thursday, nice and easy. This Thursday was the group run, or the fun run I had at my daughter's school. So that was a wash from 8 to about 12:30. So we got home and I ran, and that was about all I could do, and decided to just cut my losses, move on to another day. So Friday I did 3x3 with Mike. So that was pretty good. So we did, this is interesting because we ended up doing this workout this yesterday, actually 2 days ago. Yesterday. I can't even keep straight. So tired, overtrained. But I had Friday So this would have been September 27th. I did 3x3 with Mike. I think Larry was out at this one too, new guy on the Hanson squad, but he's just coming back, so he kind of got the green light to work out with the old guys. So Mike wanted to go 5:30, 5:20, 5:10, and the 5:30s were a little fast, but we were like 5:25s, and then pretty much on for the 20 and the 10. So that's each 3 miles. So the first 3 miles, 5:30, 5:20, 5:10, take a jog recovery. Next one, 5:30, 5:20, 5:10. So we actually average marathon pace on that, but you start out a little slower. The middle one's right about marathon pace, and the last one's a little faster than marathon pace. So that's a great little workout to do, especially when you're coming back, because Mike hasn't really done much as far as workouts, and this is a good workout where he can get a lot of volume and kind of average marathon pace, but not extend himself too much and get put into a hole where he's not going to be able to recover very well from. And then Saturday did another easy day. And then Sunday, and this was kind of by plan because I talked with Mike a little bit about this. We knew we were going to do the 3x3. We knew Sunday we were going to come back and do a 20 miler. So I did 3 workouts this week, and so I didn't quite get to space out the recovery as much as I usually do. But as we go into the next week, I'll talk about that too. But Sunday was the 16 miler from Lake Orion that they put on. They'll do a series of 2 or 3 16 milers at different stores. And this one's the nicest because it's all dirt roads and there's a ton of hills. So it's just a nice strength type long run that you can get in a lot of work in. And Mike said he wanted to take it easy, but we ended up running like 6:19 pace. So I don't know how easy that was. It felt pretty tough, especially after the 2 workouts in the week. So, but we did it, called it a week, 110 miles for the week. And then we come into last week where it was, again, nothing crazy. So since I crammed in a bunch of stuff last week, then this past week I just wanted to kind of space it out a little bit more. So I took the next 3 days pretty easy, 3 easy days, and just kind of put the volume in, but not a lot of intensity. But it's amazing how it worked out, because the first thing is, like I just said, I just want to take some easy days and kind of put the volume in, but make sure I was recovered from all the stuff I've done before, because I know my body personally, that if my old kind of habits would have been like, I would be overconfident that I could keep doing that, where I was doing those basically a workout, easy day workout, easy day workout. In reality, I needed to take a step back and say, you can do that once in a while, but you need to give yourself a little bit more recovery and go back to that basically workout, 2 easy days workout type of schedule. So I did take 3 days easy to just make sure I was recovering, but don't take that as I took time off. I still put in a bunch of mileage, and my mileage is still going to be what I'm average for the week. The second thing that happened was on Tuesday, I was running in the morning, and it was basically rush hour in Birmingham here, and some dude blew through a crosswalk, and I had to like sidestep and stop funny. And my right plantar had been kind of bugging me. It was just been kind of sore. Nothing, it wasn't really, I would say painful. It was just sore. And when I stepped, it kind of went and kind of ripped a little bit. It's the best way I could describe it. That's kind of how it felt, because I've broken my foot before, and I've just felt this bone snap. And it wasn't that. And that was on the top of my foot. And this was definitely in the bottom of my foot, in the meat of that plantar. And you could just kind of feel it kind of give way and just tissue kind of tearing. So I know that's kind of gross, but what I think happened was that scar tissue just got ripped out, and it actually ended up helping me. So it hurt really bad for like a minute or so after that. And of course I'm like the furthest away out from the house, right? So I can't just stop and walk home. I'm like 5 miles out from the house. So I kept running because I had no other option. And it hurt for a couple minutes, but then it kind of just went away. And I came home and I iced it and all that good stuff. And the next day it was still kind of there, but it definitely wasn't like painful again. And then it actually kind of just went away. So I'm really, really fortunate that it kind of worked out the way it did, because it could have been much, much worse. All right. So I did that Thursday, October 3rd. 5 by 1.5 miles with Mike again. It's nice that Mike's coming back, and Mike's had some things health wise that A little bit scary for him, but he's back in it now, and he's hopefully going to get his qualifier at Cal. So, but he's working out again, and we're trying to just manage like where I'm at because I've only got less than 5 weeks now, and he's got I think 9 weeks to go. So we're trying to blend it a little bit so we can work out but still get what we need out of our workouts, and it's so far it's been pretty good. But so he wanted to do 5 by a mile and a half. I said I'd be fine with that. I wasn't sure what pace we're going to go at. Got there, started warming up. He wanted to go 5:10 pace, which is not quite the traditional strength pace, but it's definitely faster than marathon pace. So we said okay, and then I said if I want to go the last half mile, I will. We said okay, don't be surprised if somebody takes off or whatever. And we started out pretty much 5:10 pace, and then it just felt kind of good, and I started working it down. I actually got down to about five flat pace for the last couple, which was pretty solid for me. I hadn't run that fast in quite a long time as far as that type of workout, so it felt really solid. So we did that, and then Friday, Saturday, more easy mileage, nothing to write home about. And then Sunday, which would be yesterday, the 6th, we did Mike wanted to do 3x3. So now you think back like a week and a half ago, we did 3x3 and we had to start out at 5:30s and work down to 5:10s. This time we went and we did straight out 5:15 pace the whole way. Pretty much nailed it. So it definitely puts that shock into your legs a little bit quicker than starting out slower and working faster. But it was really good just to kind of manage that effort in those paces across the entire spectrum of the workout. But it was solid. And our recoveries were a little bit faster. I think we were like 6:50 pace on our 2 mile recoveries in between there, which was really good. And so it was solid, so solid workouts all around. Volume still high. I ended the week with 108 miles. So even though 2 weeks ago, I did 3 workouts and I had 110 miles. This week I only did 2 workouts and still had 108 miles for the week. So you can still get that volume in even if you're spacing out those workouts a little bit. And that's one takeaway I should have probably put in there, but I didn't for this week. But overall, that's 6 straight weeks for me that I've been at 110 miles a week on average. And 10 weeks where I've been over 100 miles a week. So my average is probably more like 105, 106 miles a week for the last 2.5 months, which is great. That's actually higher than the highest week I had for Toledo. I think the highest week I had for Toledo was 105, and I only had one of them. I might have had a 108 in there too, but overall my mileage was like 100. So if and I'm not, that doesn't seem like a lot, but 5 miles a week over 10 weeks is 50 weeks, and there's still a month to go, and you still average those higher mileage. It's like averaging another week into a 12 or 14 week cycle if you can just average a little bit more over the course of a long period of time. So that's something to think about on your end as well. But my main takeaways this week were I probably tried to change or add too much to this segment to get everything to stick, right? It's too much to add. Do I want to clean up my nutrition? Do I want to add strides? Do I want to do my strength training? Do I want to do my core training? Do I want to do my mobility training? All 5 of those things I probably tried to add in and be more consistent at. And it's tough. That's a really tough way to do it. You really want to pick like 1 or 2 of those things and really try to make each habit stick. Because what I want is a better way to do it would be like I picked one thing and then each segment, hopefully the thing I've done before has already stuck in and is now part of my routine, right? And then you can go in your next segment, pick the other weakness you have and kind of work on that. So luckily I have 2 that have been really good and have probably made lifelong changes for me as far as training and just in life too. But I've done way better at strides because I've just made it a habit of doing them during my afternoon runs. And I've done way better on my nutrition as a whole. Like there's still days where it's not great, but I would say 90% of the time it's so much better. And so to me, those are 2 really big things, right? And so, yeah, I haven't done, weightlifting as far as heavier weights or plyos or everything on a consistent basis, but I've added 2 things that are going to make a drastic improvement in my overall performance. And so I'm still very happy with that. And then I'll reevaluate after this and see, I'll go about it probably a different way and say, what's the main thing that's going to give me the most benefit, and go there and start incorporating that more and hopefully making that a habit, So don't try to add too much all at once. I would really pick like 1 or 2 things that you know you're not very good at, and just work on making that thing the new habit. And it takes like 6 weeks for a habit to really form. So if you can get it to be a habit, and then you can just get it to be routine, and then it's just part of your everyday lifestyle, and then you can, it just makes it easier. But if you're trying to bombard yourself with all these things, it's easy to get overwhelmed and to just drop all of them, right? And that's what you don't want to do. That's what you want to avoid. And then the second thing was just getting into the heart of a plan makes finding time tough. You're tired, you're sore. Motivation can take a big hit here. Like early on, you're just super pumped, right? You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. We're going to crush it, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into the heart of the schedule. Like, man, I'm tired. I'm trying to find all this time. Now school's back in session. So now it's like my kid's over here. I got this obligation. I got that obligation. It's hard to find those things. So, and I definitely hit this point too, especially like in the last week or so. And it's really hard if you don't get naps and you don't get to recover as well as you'd like to. That's when you really have to find the ways to recover. And that's why I'm happy the nutrition part stuck, because that's the easiest way to get your body to recover right, is just focusing on that nutrition. And then the second next thing would be your sleep and your overall just resting patterns. So, but if you can fix one, you fix one at the time. But anyway, kind of off point there. But the biggest thing I would say is just focus on getting out the door. Don't mind if the first miles are slow. Like, I kind of just been loosely keeping track of my first miles on easy runs. And earlier in the training, it was like 740, 750s for the first mile. And then, as you know, I'd average like 7-minute pace for the run. Now it's like anywhere from 740 to 810, but I'm still averaging 7-minute pace for the run. So don't be hung up on, like, if you get out the door and you're slow, like, you'll find that rhythm. You'll find your way. Your body knows it's going to pick the pace up, and so you can't get hung up on if those easy runs are slower, especially early on. And just think about even your workouts. Like that's why it's so important to do a proper warm up for a workout, because especially later on, like right now, when you're into that 4 or 5 weeks out from a segment, a race in their segment, it's tough, right? It's tough. You're tired. And that warm up just allows you to make that transition from being sedentary, as far as you're not doing anything right then, to running really, really hard. And so that workout or that warm up can help you bridge that gap. But the main thing is just keep working at it, right? Keep just getting out the door, going for the run. Your body knows what it's doing, and it'll take over. So just remember, like, those workout, like, I'll take the 3x3 for example. Like, we did the 5:30, 5:20, 5:10. You'd think, oh well, it should be easy, but that was, now you've got a few hundred miles on your legs. That's not going to be easy the next time you do it around, right? So think about that. Like, you do a 6-mile tempo, and it's hard, but it's hard because it's a new pace for you. But it's easy in the sense that it's early in the training, and so you kind of think, well, if the 10-mile tempo should feel easier because I'm going to be more fit. You are more fit, but you've also got several hundred more miles on your legs, right? So that's kind of counteracting that, and it's just going to make it feel as tough, if not tougher. So you got to just remember that those earlier workouts you were fresh. Now you're tired. You're doing this, on a not quite a full tank of gas, and that's kind of the point, is because that's how you're going to feel during the marathon. And so if you can get to that point in the marathon where it's hard, but you can be like, well, I've been here before. I know exactly how this feels, and I was able to get through it. That's what you have to keep telling yourself, because when you get to that point in the marathon where it's going to be, your mind's going to want to give up, and be like, I've been here before. I know I can do this. I know I can finish this, and that's going to make a big difference in the world. Because from a fitness standpoint, you're there, but from a mental standpoint, you got to have that bridge where it's like, okay, I know what this feels like. I felt this in training, and I did the training just fine. And you can say, and then it kind of clicks, and it's like, I can keep going. So those are my kind of takeaways for this installment of my training. Now we're getting into the point where it's, I think we're less than 5 weeks out, maybe even less than 4. Less than 4, yeah, because I got to do a Detroit half marathon in the 20th, and that'll be my simulator. That'll be a big test. Like, I'm kind of nervous about that, but in any case, As I'm recording this is the week of Chicago, and it looks like it's going to be pretty dang good weather. So good luck to everybody racing the weekend of the 13th, and hopefully you all have some good ones out there. So thanks for listening, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.